Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome if you're new here. My name's Hannah. I make videos all about the soaps and I vlog my life as well. But anyway, I thought I would make this video to basically just talk about all of our soaps across this year, talk about predictions, things that have happened that I've loved, and basically just chat about some of the biggest stories of this year. So let's get into it. So Hollyoaks, one of my favourite Hollyoaks stories this year has basically been Diane's cancer. I think I've said this before, but it's very close to my heart because when I was a little girl, I basically was getting tested for ovarian cancer. They thought I actually was going to have ovarian cancer, and they basically had to do surgery to remove my ovaries before they turned cancerous, and basically saved my life. So watching Diane go through ovarian cancer has been very personal to me, and it was a really emotional watch, especially those final scenes, and then seeing how Dee Dee has struggled with it afterwards. Obviously she seems to be on ketamine, which she's clearly addicted to. It's also going to lead to a character called Abby, which I'm saying Sophie Webster, Brooke Vincent is going to play, which I'm really excited about because Brooke is a fantastic actress and she will just be amazing in this role, and I'm absolutely buzzing for her. I can't wait to see her. Currently, when I'm filming this, we haven't seen her on screen yet, but I know that it's coming up, so that's going to be a good part of the summer. The Diane story also led to Ro and Rex getting closer, and Ro basically working at the garage, which was really fun, and I enjoyed seeing Ro kind of try and help Rex become who he is, and it's led to Rex basically being able to be himself and dress how he wants and express himself and just be a normal person, which is lovely. Currently nothing has happened, but I still do think that something is going to happen between Ro and Rex. I can't shake the feeling that something's going to happen with Ro and Rex. Also kind of related to Rex, with him being with Steve, we had the Lucas in prison story, and Dylan basically saving him and then Dylan going off. That was lovely. I feel like it was a good ending to Dylan. I feel like it had to be an ending to do with Dylan and Lucas, because Dylan having the affair with Steve was just not going well anymore. So I feel like there had to be some kind of ending, and that was kind of it, and it tied it up quite nicely, to be honest. We also obviously had the big thing of the Keane family come in, where Frankie crashed on her way to ballet school, dance school, and obviously crashed into the Keanes, crashed into Jonah and Beth and Caleb basically, because Maddox wasn't here yet. And I feel like that brought a whole story in itself, because obviously it's made Caleb disabled. It's put him in a wheelchair currently because he can't walk. He's going to physio, and I feel like I really related to Caleb as well, because obviously as someone who, for a very different reason, not because of any getting into an accident or anything, but as someone who has suffered with nerves and pain, and basically who has had to go to physio and learn to walk again, it has been interesting to watch and see Caleb's journey. I love how Frankie's helped him through it, even though she was partly responsible for the crash. And I feel like also it's brought Frankie knowing Beth's secret, or having an idea of Beth's secret, and we now know that Maddox isn't Beth's real son. I think he's Cindy's son, because Cindy's supposed to be coming back, so that'll be fun. We also then had the Mercedes stuff with Jensen and Warren and Gemma, and there was kind of a quadruple triangle at points, and thought that Mercedes was going to go with Jensen, and then she didn't, and then obviously now we're at a point where Mercedes is back with Warren, but Sebastian has his cancer back, so he's really struggling with that, and he's basically needing Jensen's help to give Sebastian the stem cell transplant to save his life. And Sebastian's like, Jensen's tied up with Gemma, even though he does want to help Sebastian, and it's all a little bit of a mess. Gemma's still in Froggy's old gang. She's got all this money, she's loving her life, it's everything that she's ever wanted, and it's just literally all a little bit of a mess, to be honest. But hey, that's Hollyoaks for you. We would not have it any other way. I love the fact that Mercedes and Warren are back together. It's probably one of my favourite parts of this year. I just feel like Mercedes and Warren are absolutely meant to be with each other. They're made to marry each other. So one of my favourite parts of the whole entire year. I just love them so much. And then of course it's also all brought Leah and Imran home, which I'm so happy about. I'm really loving Leah and Imran. I'm excited to see if they maybe get a story in this half of the year, coming into the next half of the year, and if, you know, it kind of builds for them and builds and it just becomes such a beautiful thing. I'm like thoroughly enjoying Leah and Imran, I have to say, I really am. Coronation Street, so obviously basically similar to Emmerdale, we started this year with Corriedale. I loved it. I think they will do Corriedale again. I actually hope that they do, because it was so much fun and it was such an exciting event. But at the same time, will it be as exciting as it was because it was a one-off big event that we were all looking forward to? I'm not sure. But anyway, obviously we started with that, and then Corriedale was the end of Becky Swain. So Becky obviously then went to prison finally for what she had done, which was absolutely brilliant. It was also what put Debbie in prison, and we found out that Carol was her son. And obviously also just in general, seeing Debbie in prison and watching her have the TIAs and just decline basically has been really sad, because obviously I've had Debbie's dementia, and I think this will still be a story that runs for quite a long time. I don't think it's over yet. I think Debbie's dementia is one of them. It's going to come in little stages and sections, and it's going to run for a good little bit at the moment. But Debbie's dementia has been up there with one of my favourite storylines this year. I didn't mind them putting her in prison. It wasn't my favourite part of it. I would have been okay if she didn't go to prison for it, but I wasn't sure how I would feel. Like, the reveal that he was her son was a massive shock, I think, to a lot of us, and I wasn't sure how I would feel, because we've heard Kevin and Debbie talk about our Carol for years, and it's always been he's their little brother, and it's all that we've known, so I wasn't sure. I didn't expect it, and then when Debbie said it that day and was like, "I'm your mum," they were in the car, it's one of the scenes I remember the most. I gasped. I was like, what? But I feel like they've done it nicely. And it also led to obviously the possibility of Carol being murdered as one of the people on the suspect list to be murdered. Of course that didn't happen, but it was a possibility. But I'm not looking forward to seeing more of Debbie declining, if I'm honest with you, because it's going to be difficult. But that's only because I love Debbie, and I think a lot of us are the same. Like, we love Debbie, and I am going to be really sad to see her decline like this. So that's the only reason why I'm going to find it hard, which is a pretty good reason to find hard, although I think we do have her for a while yet. Also with Debbie's story, Ronnie has been one of my favourite characters and players in this story, because before this we hadn't really seen an awful lot of Ronnie, and we had seen bits of him and we knew him, but I feel like this has really shown what kind of character he is. And we also started with Debbie's wedding this year, and that wedding was spectacular. The location, the hotel, the fact that it put us right into Corriedale was fantastic. Debbie walking down the aisle to the dementia choir, amazing. One of my favourite bits of this year, without a doubt. But Ronnie's been one of my favourite people in this story, because I feel like we've really got to know Ronnie as a person and as a character, and how he is standing by his wife despite the fact that she's got this horrible diagnosis, which no one wants. It's absolutely awful, and she has to cope with it. She has to deal with it somehow. So it's one of them situations where she's absolutely got to deal with it, whether we like it or not. She's got to do it. So I feel like Ronnie's been one of my favourite people in this story, and I just love it. Also this year, obviously, we've seen Carol and Lisa get married. I did enjoy that. Obviously, it was at Charity Square. It led into the biggest murder week ever, and then it was at Charity Square and then Underworld. I feel like it was perfect. It was very Carol and Lisa. I know a lot of the Swallow fans absolutely loved it and thought that it was brilliant, so that's fantastic, and I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it, to be fair. Also that sprung for Corriedale has been Jodie. Now Jodie, I'm kind of annoyed that we're halfway through the year and she's still so much of a mystery. It is getting a little bit boring to me now. Watch me say this and then it ramp up in a couple of weeks' time and it's like, well, it's not boring anymore, we know who Jodie is. But but at this point it is getting a little bit boring and a little bit repetitive, really. It's repetitive, she's just doing the same things, and it's like, come on, what are we going to do with her? What are we going to do? She needs to get up to something, do something more than just stealing something off a child or off someone else. So Jodie is annoying me a little bit, I can't lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, she is. But Olivia is a good actress, and I just, with the Jodie situation, I'm kind of beginning to just think, I hope that whatever the reveal is worth it. Also, I want to see their dad again, because we've seen their dad, like, we've seen Mr. Ramsay, Shona and Jodie's dad once, maybe twice, once I think, and we've not seen him again. So I'm desperate for Shona to get a little bit of seeing her dad, and maybe if her dad tells Shona about what's happened. Also, one of my most favourite things of the year so far has been Harper's birth. Shona and David's baby girl, Shona and David finally having their little girl, and the fact that Harper is still in hospital. It's been a long hospital journey for them, with her being so little and having all these complications. It's been difficult, but it's been good to watch David and Shona go through that and navigate it, and how they still navigate their own relationship while trying to be there for their little one, who's still so little and can't do a lot for herself. We've also had Bernie and Mal, a little bit of Bernie and Mal, and the worst fire ever with the fire at Roy's. That fire at Roy's was the worst fire ever. There wasn't even any fire, it was absolutely rubbish. But I did enjoy Mal as a villain. I felt like he was very villainy. Jane Hazelgrove definitely showed herself as Bernie in this. Love Bernie as a character, absolutely adore her. So she definitely showed herself in this so much, just showing who she can be basically, and showing her acting chops and getting her teeth into something, which was really good to see for a couple of months. So that was lovely. And then obviously we move on to probably what has arguably been probably the top two stories of the year, which number one has been Murder and Murder Week, and Todd and Theo. Obviously we also at the beginning of the year had Todd and Theo ramping up, and we weren't sure where they were going to go. We could see that Theo was getting worse in his coercive behaviours and the things that he was getting up to. He was definitely becoming very violent and very scary. You just could see that it was going somewhere that could have been quite dark. One of my most memorable episodes, and I still have the image of Todd in my head, was when Todd went to Sarah's door after Theo severely beating him up, and Todd just been absolutely covered in blood, his whole face, he was marked everywhere. There was not a part of his face that was not absolutely covered in blood, and it was just quite horrible to see. But it definitely gave the effect that it needed, which was to make us look and go, oh my god, that is terrible. It made us really think about it. It also made Todd have to go to the police and get out of this relationship, which just shows how bad the relationship was. And sometimes that is what happens. It's a very serious event that makes the person go to the police and do what they need to do. So that was very difficult to watch. It's also brought back Todd and Sarah's friendship in the absolute best way. I love Todd and Sarah's friendship. Obviously I'm a little bit on the fence at the minute because we don't know where it's going to go with what's happened, because obviously we have now been revealed that Sarah is Theo's murderer, so Sarah's killed him, and obviously Todd knows now, and although he's not going to dauber in or tell the police, but I feel like it's definitely a little bit sticky for Sarah and Todd's relationship, because obviously how can you be friends with someone that has done that? And also not just because of what she's done, because maybe she was doing it to protect herself and Todd in a way, but also because she let someone go to prison for a little bit, and that's not good at all. So nobody wanted someone to go to prison, so that's not good. And then we also had the other biggest story of the year, which is coming to a head as I'm filming this at the moment, is the Driscoll story with Will and Megan and the grooming. That has been some of my favourite story this year. I think it's really helped us to get to know the Driscolls, and I know that they've been put in a major story really quickly, but I've enjoyed it, and I feel like it's got us to know the Driscolls. It's got us seeing the Rovers more, which I love. I will never complain about seeing the Rovers. Which has just been fantastic. And I feel like at the very beginning I didn't really like Will that much, and he was kind of annoying me, and I didn't have a lot of sympathy for him. But recently my sympathy's 100% come back for him, and I'm really enjoying him as a character. I love that he's had some lighter moments. I love that the brother and sister bond with him and Susie, and how Susie wants to be there for him. Obviously the verdict's coming up on this trial. I don't know it as I'm filming this, but maybe by the time it's out we might know it. But it is coming to an end. Beth Nixon has also been a fantastic baddie. I'm sad that she's coming to an end because I'm assuming that Megan's going to get found guilty. So I'm sad that she's coming to an end, but it's needed. It's been such a good story, and definitely one of the A stories of the year. It's also led into another good story that is currently going on, which is Sam and his schizophrenia. As someone with a parent who has schizophrenia, this has definitely touched me so much. It's just been so real, and seeing the hallucinations that Sam was seeing, and seeing how he felt that Roy was really telling him to do this stuff, was just so emotional for me, because it's so close to home and so true. There's been points so far where it's been really emotional to see Sam in distress in the way that he is, but there's also been lovely points where he's had some lovely things with Nick as he's kind of starting to get better, but not quite there yet. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit more of this coming into this next half of the year, so I'm happy with that. I'm excited to see where it goes. I love Sam as a character, one of my favourite characters, so I cannot complain about where that could go, because I know that I will like it and enjoy it regardless. But that's definitely a kind of roundup of what's been happening on the street. Eastenders. So there is a lot with Eastenders, because basically we started off the year with Zoe being wrongly accused of murdering Anthony at the end of Christmas, and then we come to find out, we're wondering who it is, we don't think it's Zoe, and we come to find out that it's Jasmine. We also find out that Jasmine is Zoe's daughter, which has been a great story for Zoe coming back. It's good that she's had this sort of meaty story to get her teeth into. Michelle is a fantastic actress, and it's just been brilliant to watch her get herself into this story and just try and understand her own character, and try and think about all of Zoe's decisions and why she's doing this, why Zoe's making these types of decisions, why she's done that. It's been really interesting to watch, and seeing Zoe in prison was lovely as well, and the fact that she was always trying to protect Jasmine right to the very end. She really was, which also resulted in Josh coming along. And one of my favourite parts of this year, and I think a lot of our favourite parts of this year, is the fact that Oscar has been here as well, and obviously there is this triangle of him and Jasmine and Josh, because Josh is Jasmine's twin brother, and he's turned up, and there's this triangle of the three of them, and we're kind of wondering who Josh is going to choose. And I feel like there's a very specific amount of our audience wanting him to stay with Jasmine, and there's other people that think him and Josh are really good and cute and nice together. So where that is going to go is anybody's guess. We also had the week that changed everything, where Denise got her cancer diagnosis. Obviously, Denise is currently fighting blood cancer called acute myeloid leukemia, and she's currently trying to fight that, which has been very difficult to watch. There has been a couple of scenes recently where obviously she's been sick, she has a turban on, and she's not obviously feeling her best self, and it's really difficult to watch, especially in a character as strong as Denise, when we think about everything that Denise has been through with Lucas, getting pregnant to Phil, and then giving Raymond away, like so much, and she's this strong, resilient character and person to us all, that we don't really think of her getting ill, or that she might get ill or anything like that. So I think it was as much a shock to us as it was to her. And I know that coming into the next half of the year, there's going to be some beautiful scenes between basically Denise and all the family, where we're hoping that we can get her better. We're crossing our fingers that we can get her better, and let's hope that we don't lose her before the end of this year, beginning of next year. But you never ever know. Let's just hope that we don't. Because I would be extremely sad if we did lose her. I would be super sad if that happened, because I would never ever want that to happen to her. Denise, I just love her too much and she's too valuable for that, so let's just hope that it doesn't happen. And then also joined onto that was Jordan's accident, which has brought a lot, because obviously Ian did it. Ian is the one that run Jordan over, which has caused Jordan to be in the wheelchair, and it's gave Ian a story as well, because we're also obviously left wondering if he's going to get off with this. Maybe by the end of the year we'll know what his punishment is or what happens. Currently we don't know. And it's also brought Sheila Atkins, who is Grey's nan, into the show, which in turn has brought Grey back. Now, I could speak about Grey forever, because Grey is one of my favourite villains that Eastenders has ever had. Toby Alexander Smith is incredible. That day, the other day, when we opened up the episode and Grey was just there, I literally screamed. I gasped. It was absolutely brilliant. And even when he started talking and he was talking to Sheila, he was just so the Grey that I remember. It was just brilliant. I'm so here for it. I cannot wait to see what else that he brings, and how much that Sheila and Grey ends up in Chelsea's life, what Chelsea's going to do when she finds out that actually Sheila's been visiting Grey behind her back. There is so much that could spin off from this story, and I absolutely love it. And then obviously we had Grant coming home as well for the end of Nigel's life. That was very sad, but absolutely amazing, so heart moving, which in turn cost us to obviously lose Julie, which was very sad. But I do understand why Julie didn't really want or need to stay on the square anymore after that. But it was beautiful to have her back for that short space of time, and to have Nigel back was just gorgeous. And Nigel's a really old character, so I didn't know him much from years and years ago or anything. So when it was first announced that he was coming back and it was going to be this big story and everything like that, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I like it, because I don't really know the character. But I feel like it's the way that he got played that I absolutely fully understood it, fully loved him and just accepted it. And Nigel and Phil's friendship has become one of my absolute favourite parts of this year. We've also had Nicola and George have their baby girl. That was a really cool part of the year, where they had little Ivy early, and obviously seeing Nicola so upset and not really understanding what to do, and seeing how much that she actually wants to make a proper go of being a mum this time. She doesn't want to let it go. She actually wants to shine and give her little girl as much as possible, which also led to Eddie Knight returning, and I wasn't as keen on that. I didn't enjoy it as much. I was glad that it was only for the short space of time that it was, and then he kind of died and that was it. Loved Half Christmas, always loved Nicola Half Christmas, it's brilliant, but I was glad when Eddie's side of the story came to an end, although I have been enjoying George and Nicola, and I'm definitely buying them as a couple a lot more, which is lovely. And then we've also had Max coming home. Now Max is going to be absolutely massive coming into this next half of this year, because obviously we now are going to be thinking that Cindy is the new Mrs. Branning. Max and Cindy are currently engaged, and all seems to be going really well. They're saying that they're absolutely in love, although Max is obviously having this affair with Priya. He slept with Priya a few times. Cindy doesn't know that quite yet, but God help us all when Cindy does know it, because Cindy is not gonna like it at all, so God help every one of us when Cindy knows. But anyway, Max and Priya are a thing, so I think that Priya is going to be pregnant with the baby by the end of the year, Max's baby, and obviously Cindy's going to find all this out, and of course she isn't going to be happy about it. But love the Brannings, love Lauren and Mark as well. I think Lauren and Mark are going to get together. Bringing the Brannings together has been an absolutely incredible part for me. The Brannings are one of my favourite ever soap families. Like, they're the way that I remember. One of my big storylines that I always remember is Lauren's alcoholism and her being an alcoholic, and how Max and Tanya were basically trying to save their daughter and doing everything to save their little girl. And the Brannings have my heart. They just have an absolute place in my heart, because I remember watching them with my gran so much, and them just being one of our favourite families, so they really have an absolute special place in my heart. And we also had Cora back for one episode, which I absolutely loved. They have a special place in my heart. I'm so excited for the second half of this year to see where Max goes, what happens, how we get to that flash forward at the beginning of 2027. So really excited, and just cannot wait to see where it all goes, basically. And then obviously a little bit more recently, but throughout certain bits, we've also had the Bee storyline. Now, I've enjoyed Bee and Honey. I feel like Honey has taken to Bee very quickly in the way that she has, because Honey doesn't have a lot of friends, and that's quite sad to say, but it's true. And I feel like the first person that showed Honey a little bit of attention and a bit of care, Honey has just gelled with and been like, oh my goodness, you're showing me all the love. And now, if you've watched today, where we're currently at, as I'm filming this, then you will have realised that Bee is now accusing Billy of murder. So I feel like this is going to get really big. It's absolutely huge what she's done, and basically just looking forward to seeing where it all goes. So I really can't complain. Albert Square's been brilliant this year. So Emmerdale, obviously we started the year with both Corrie and Emmerdale with the big Corriedale thing, of basically merging the two of them together, and they had the big crash and the big accident, and things happened for both of them. And basically one of the big things to happen in Corriedale for Emmerdale was it brought our Graham back, Graham, and I like Graham, I can't help it, I like him. I don't know why, I don't know what it is about him, but I like him. For some reason, somehow, I don't mind him. I know that some people are like, oh my god, I hate Graham. No Graham, but I genuinely do not mind him. And I love that we've brought him back, and obviously everybody's found out. I love that he's been there for Kyle recently, because obviously we've had Kane's cancer story, and that has led to Kyle feeling a little bit left out and a bit upset, and he's went and been setting these fires basically everywhere up at Robert's, because obviously also Robert has now got the farm. Moira was in prison for the slavery stuff with Celia and the farm and everything. We had Bear being part of modern slavery. We've had Bear being the one to kill Ray, which I just think is one of the best things to happen this year. One of my absolute favourite episodes was Ray's death, where we found out who the killer was, and Bear basically walked in and we seen what Bear did. Also with Bear's story, I loved the trial. Also loved the monologue on trial week where Bear was saying about modern slavery and how it's more common than we all think. The modern slavery storyline was just absolutely gorgeously done, and like, to have Paddy involved in such a big storyline like that, to have Bear involved in such a big storyline, April, Dylan, just fantastic people, and it's definitely one of my highlights of Emmerdale this year. We've also got the story of basically Charity with the baby situation, and obviously she was pregnant with baby Layla, and Sarah and Jacob got married this year, and they've went on to now have this baby that Charity's been pregnant with, and been carrying it as a surrogate for them, and we all know that it's Ross and Charity's baby, which is still to come out properly. Only Mackenzie knows, but Sarah and Jacob don't know, and I feel like there's so much more to come from that. We've also seen a flash forward now where like Dr. Todd's going to get killed for some reason, for whatever, by someone, because obviously Mackenzie's went to visit her and he's gave her a piece of his mind, because I'm at the point now where basically Mackenzie knows the truth. Charity's told him everything about Layla, about the blackmailing Dr. Todd, about Dr. Todd raping her, and we've also had a new sucked in recently, Serena. I want to know what you guys think of Serena. I've been saying this in my other videos. She's definitely very mysterious, and where we currently are as I'm filming this, in today's episode we found out that she knows Kev through being in prison, so she's like worked in the prison or something. But she's definitely been a little secretive, because every now and again she gives these little secret looks of, oh, don't ask me any questions. So she's been secretive, and she also knows about John and what he got up to. So how secretive is she being? I don't think Aaron really trusts her at all. So how secretive is she being, and what's she going to do? It's just a waiting game to find out, basically, because we don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing where Serena goes. I think we'll find a lot more out about Serena in the coming months. I also think that obviously with Charity, the baby still has to come out. Sarah needs to know. And I wonder what will happen then. Will Sarah want to give the baby back to Charity and say it's not my baby anymore? Or what will she want to do then? Because at this point it makes me a little bit nervous, because Sarah's really attached to this baby. She absolutely loves Layla, and she's been a mum to Layla for her whole life so far. So it does make me a little bit nervous of, oh my gosh, could Sarah actually cope with this secret and losing Layla? I'm sure that we're possibly going to find out in the second half of this year. So there we have it, guys, a little bit of a roundup of the year, how I felt about it so far, what's been happening everywhere, just how I felt about it. Let me know what you've thought about it. Let me know what some of your predictions are for what's coming for the second half of the year. And I'm really excited to see what comes for the second half of the year. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye!